And we're back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're listening from. Today, we are going to get started on the new series, 7 Steps to Building a Business Foundation. And this is going to be a long one today. This is the second episode of season 2. And we're really going to cover start to finish. If you want to be your own business owner, if you want to be a renter, if you want to be a salon suite entrepreneur, this is going to focus on the beauty business, particularly the service industry. And we're going to talk today about figuring out, do you really want to head into salon suite ownership or even own a salon with employees? So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we have a huge topic to cover, actually a couple of topics to cover, but the main question you want to ask yourself is, why do I want to enter in to entrepreneurship, salon suite ownership, owning a business in this ugly beauty business? If you follow me on Instagram, or I've listened to other series in this podcast, you know that one of my favorite TED Talk people is Simon Sinek. He said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. I cannot express this enough, how important it is. He wrote a book called Start With Why, and in that book, he breaks down all of the mental barriers of why do you want to head in the direction you're heading. Knowing why you want to be in the beauty business really can set you up for the decisions that you make on how you structure your business. It's very important to know why you want to be a solo entrepreneur. If you've had bad experiences, like I have been in this beauty business for 20 years now, I've been everything: a employee, a commission-based, a salary. I've been rental. I've rented by myself. I've been rental where I've had employees under me. And now I'm in a salon suite. I've worked for nail companies. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. What is your end goal? So I highly recommend listening. If you like audiobooks, I like audiobooks, but listening to Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, or find some of his TED Talks on YouTube, it can make you think about some of the decisions that you make. So let's go ahead and start covering, why do you want to be in the beauty business? Is it for flexibility? Is it because the amount of school required as a trade is less than a 4-year degree? Is it that you think there will be profitability or cash opportunities? Or do you really value serving other people and helping people? The beauty business, it's very false and fake on the top, where we're applying makeup and nail polish and all those good things, but it's also a mental health booster. It is self-care, and you do get to know people and serve people in ways that you might not otherwise be able to. Or are you just totally creative? You love the creativity of it. Is that the avenue that you want to focus on? You want to figure out in this business, what is your purpose, your cause, and belief? If it's serving others, what kind of services do you feel benefit those people? I find in the nail industry, the people that really want to serve others, they seem to be very heavily focused on pedicures. It is a service that you can provide people that sometimes they really truly need. They cannot do themselves, and it brings a different feeling of accomplishment versus the creative aspect, where you are pulling off all the new trends and trying something different and being very artsy. if your purpose is money and cash, your why you're in this business, your belief and cause is going to be more about speed and your time is money and how many days you work. So these are things to think about. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. So what sets you apart? There's so many salons. Have you thought about the responsibilities of the possible roles that you can have in this industry? Have you thought about, do you want to be an employee, a renter, a salon owner, an educator, a celebrity stylist, or even a social media influencer? There's different avenues here. And when you figure out what is important to you and what you have the ability to do, how does that affect other people? How does it affect your family life or people that you work with? If you're working in a salon and your social media influencer business takes off, how does that affect everyone else that's surrounded by you? If you have employees and you're the star, nobody wants to see your employees. They want you for the service. How do you navigate that? So thinking about all of these responsibilities and the different avenues you can take is so important, because you want to figure out why you want to do what you do, how you're going to do it, and what exactly is it that you are going to do that's going to set you apart and make you successful. That's where we come into the second step of knowing your why. Once you start thinking about these things, a lot of people are like, oh, let's do a pro and con list. I like brain dumps. I don't know if you've ever, I'm a diary kind of organizer person with my calendar and my to-do lists and all that stuff. And some of these like bullet point binders have a page for a brain dump. And basically it's a blank page that you can just write and scribble all over. So when you're trying to figure out these things, have a blank page before you. Just do a brain dump and then highlight and circle the things that are the most important, because that's going to turn into your vision statement or your mission statement. You need 2 vision statements. If you're going to go solo and start your own business, or if you're going to rent, or even if you're going to be an employee, you need a vision statement of your personal why, because you need to know personally what is that going to do for you. And then you need an ideal business vision statement that's visual with numbers and measurements and all of those SMART goals that we talked about when we did the SMART goal episode. Because you can dream on your personal board, but your business vision board or vision statement needs to be very specific and measurable and attainable and realistic and time bound. They need to be SMART goals. So when you're building a vision board for your business, you really should put some numbers on it. How do you figure out these numbers? These numbers can be figured out by creating a business model, an ideal business model. What do you include on these things? Your business model is like your map or a blueprint of where you're going and where you're at. When you crunch the numbers, you want to list things like the ideal number of days you want to work a week. Whether you're working 6 days a week or it's a side hustle for 2 days a week, you want to include that. What days will you be open? What are the hours you're going to be open? And ideally, how many clients can you take each day? And if you add all that up and you figure out how many ideal number of clients you can take each week, then you can figure out, on average, if you know your average client ticket is $50, you can figure out how much you'll bring in on a week and how much you'll bring in on a certain day. If you don't have these numbers to go off of, that's something more that, we would talk one-to-one on, because it really just depends on what services you offer. But you should have some ideally targets to hit, and you need a ballpark figure for that. One thing that I want you to keep in mind is that when you're building your ideal business model, these numbers are ideal. They are pretend. And so once you figure out what you want your business to look like, when it is perfect and everything works out and you're working 4 days a week and making all the money that you want, that's great, but they're still pretend numbers on the ideal business model. You need to make sure that in real life, your expenses are covered. So once you have your ideal business model, does it add up to be enough to cover your business expenses? If not, you might need to go backwards. If those totals don't add up, and you either will need to figure out how to make your per client ticket average higher, or you may need to figure out how to get more clients in the door, or you might need to raise your prices or figure out how to lower your expenses. I know this seems like a lot, it's overwhelming, but keep in mind right now we are in vision phase. We want the perfect business, 4 days a week behind the chair, maybe an 8 to 10 hour day, and making good money. Can you do that? That's the key question. But making these vision boards and creating an ideal business model transfers into writing a business plan. Business plans are necessary for financial and legal purposes. The number one mistake is not having a plan. The plans serve as your roadmap. It doesn't need to be complicated. It really just includes your mission statement, which is your why, just a few sentences that express your words to live by. Why do you want to make these services your mission? Why do you want to serve these people? You should have a little bit of your professional history or resume included in a business plan, and include any awards that you've won, any specific documentation or special certifications you've received, and maybe even some references from your best clients. Or you could even include, if you've already been in the service business as an employee and you're looking to go out on your own, you could even include reviews that have been left on Google. If someone left you a positive review specifically with your name in it, put that on your business plan. That says a lot about you and what you're there to do and why you're doing it. You do have to have a marketing plan on a business plan. This is how will you attract clients. This part of creating your business does require some research. Going to your local chamber of commerce and getting some demographics on how many people live there, how many salons are there, what is the average income or cost of housing. That kind of gives you an idea of, am I a high-end area, middle area, or low area? That's all going to reflect on you, because most beauty businesses, most of them, people that live within a 5-mile radius will go to. If your clients travel more than 5 miles, I have quite a few. That is a specialty business, because that you have made a niche for yourself. They trust you. They are loyal to you. They're willing to go anywhere. But when you're starting out and you're just trying to get butts in the chair, you have to realize what's within a 5-mile radius of you. Your local chamber, things from your county statistics departments. It's all online. You can always call somebody too to ask, but these statistics are super important. if you're new to the industry, you also need to know industry statistics like, in the South, what is the average cost of a manicure? These can be found on professional like magazine sites such as nailmagazine.com or nailpro.com. And it's pretty easy. You don't want to base your industry statistics on all the walk-in salons around you. If you're not going to be a walk-in salon and you're trying to set yourself apart, you need real industry statistics from salons from all over the United States to figure out where you fit in. In your business plan, you also need to have a management plan. Are you going to have staff? If you are going to have staff, how will you recruit them and hire them? How will you pay them? Will you have handbooks and guidance and training for them? What perks will they get? Everyone is these days struggling to find people to help, and I think a lot of it is because the approach is wrong. The approach is, I need help, I'm losing business, not you're a great nail tech or a great hairdresser. I would love to have you on my team. How can I get you to come work for me? These days, employees are interviewing employers. Your team is interviewing you, not the other way around. Because workplace conditions have gotten so bad and so toxic, and people are tired of doing jobs that are unappreciated for less money than they deserve. I want you to hear me on this. It's so important. The whole quiet quitting trend, it's not quiet quitting. It's doing your job, and when people want you to stretch yourself thin and stress yourself out by constantly going above and beyond with no compensation or no perks, you're going to want to quit and go back to just the job you were hired for. If you are going to have employees, you have to have rules. You have to have guidelines. You have to have training and standards. That is a whole other series. I always recommend that at that point, you personally have a relationship with a beauty business consultant or a business coach. These people are sounding boards because they have experience and knowledge on what has worked for them, what could work for you, and how to approach things differently. Another thing in your business plan is going to have to be a financial plan or a budget. I know, it's the dreaded money stuff. There are literally entire podcasts about this. More than one, quite a few. From everything from former salon owners to beauty CPAs. A financial plan is so important because that is something you can't just wing it. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. Not being able to finance something that you need for your business is a problem. So are you going to take a loan or are you going to put personal money in? You have to be very specific in this area. You have to include the value and cost of your tools and give projections. Like if you're moving into a space, how much are you going to upgrade that space? Include everything from new furniture to how much does paint cost? Do you have to run a new water line or get a new outlet put in? These are all startup costs that are very common. People act shocked when they're like, oh my gosh, I just moved into this salon suite and it has 2 outlets. You're going to have to pay some money to have an extra outlet put in because no salon I've ever worked in has been able to work on 2 outlets. That's ridiculous. But these are the things that you have to look at. You want to have some kind of a worksheet, which I have one that I'm going to scan and provide a link to, but it is a startup worksheet. It is a little dated because there are some things on the startup worksheet. This is something that I used and reflect on every once in a while. There's things that can be added onto this, and there's things that can be eliminated depending on what type of rental or ownership situation you want to go into. Another part of your financial plan is explaining your legal entity. Are you a sole proprietor just by yourself? Are you an LLC? Are you a C Corp? When we hit the accounting phase, we'll go through this a little bit more, but there is a great Instagram page from the Beauty CPA. She reminds you it's time for your end of the month paperwork. She reminds you these are the differences between all these entities. She is salon focused, very good at what she does. I highly recommend you follow her. That's the Beauty CPA on Instagram. But these are the things you have to know about. We don't get training on business in nail school at all. This is all extracurricular knowledge. And there's a lot of bad knowledge out there from YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. Everywhere has bad information. You have to decide for yourself who and what you believe and who and what can guide you correctly in the direction you need to go. Personally, I feel that a CPA, an accountant, a lawyer, someone that you pay for an hour of their time is worth their weight in gold by helping you make these decisions. Making these decisions on your own is never a good idea, because if you don't know how those entities are reflected in how the money that you make and the taxes that you pay and how your paycheck works, you need to get that knowledge from someone else and network to those people for their advice. I hope that makes sense. I'm going off on tangents here, but I hope that makes sense. The last part of your business plan is an executive summary. So basically, it's a summary of your marketing plan, management plan, and financial plan. This really forces you to see the big picture. You can there's sample business plans actually online, and you can look at them. You can purchase some of them and fill them in, or you can download them and copy. It becomes an oversaturated market, and sometimes those things aren't worth your time. You want to know who in your area is providing what services. So look at their websites and social media. You can even visit a few. This is always a challenge for us professionals who are super picky. But go visit a salon. Go have your hair washed and get a blowout. Go get a bang trim. Go, if you're really brave, go get a pedicure. And check out the salon. What is the vibe of the salon? What do you notice? Is it clean? Is it dirty? What is their bathroom like? That is my number one. I hate dirty bathrooms. If I go into a restaurant and the bathroom is dirty, we are leaving. I tell my clients the same thing. If they have to cheat on me by when they go on vacation and they have to go to a nail salon in between, I tell them, go in. If it's a walk-in place, ask to use the restroom. If the restroom is disgusting, walk out. Even with appointments, go into the restroom. If the restroom is unkept, how bad is their workspace going to be? This is part of market research. I'm telling you, you would be shocked at some of the things that you see. Some are funny and some are good and some are really, really bad. So go visit those salons and see who's doing what around you. Another thing in market research is location, location, location. It can make or break you. This business is not build it and they will come. If you find cheap rent somewhere, there is a reason it is cheap. I can tell you, and my clients would laugh if they heard this part, because they would be able to tell you exactly what I was talking about. When I went from doing nails at a big salon and relying on other people to bring the business in, and I decided it wasn't working for me, it was too rigid, I wanted to do my own thing. The challenge was I wanted to be close to home, I wanted to be available for my kids, but I had to cover all of my salon costs by what I was making. I had to be able to cover my salon costs and my daycare costs. So when I was looking at locations, I was focused on cheap rent, but I was also focused on where things were growing, the possibilities, where things were not quite built up yet, but it was coming. I found this little house. There was another business on the other side. It was sitting on the corner of a main street, major intersection, across from a restaurant and a couple other businesses and a CVS. Like, it was a great location. The rent was cheap. I can tell you for a fact that what I pay for rent right now for a week is what I was paying for a month. Now, granted, this was 10 years ago, but still, let this sink in. 10 years ago, what I paid for rent for a week was what I was paying for the entire month there. The location sounds great in theory, but when you got into it, the AC didn't work well. The heat didn't work well. Things leaked. The windows, I actually did the whole plastic sheet on the windows with the hairdryer thing because the windows would get so cold that I had to get space heater, and then the electric went up. The building itself was a disaster. There were plumbing issues. I had to replace the floor. That cost me a fortune at some point. So look at the big picture. If that house had been better built, better put together, I would have paid double the rent. I would have paid triple the rent. It was a great location. The owner made a lot of promises. He never fulfilled them. So I left that location. It was a great building block, but it was not my forever home. It was a great location because of where it was located, but the building itself was crap. So in your market research, when you're looking at locations, you want to look at where the anchor stores are. Do you want to be in a strip mall? Probably not. Those things are so overpriced. But if you're going to be in a strip mall, you need to be bringing in some bank to cover your costs. If your business doesn't make a profit, you still need to pay yourself and cover your salon costs. That is the bare minimum. Sometimes as salon entrepreneurs, when you start out, you have to sacrifice your paycheck. Nobody wants to hear that. It's something that nobody wants to talk about. It's something that we don't really want to do, but it happens. Every once in a while, you have a salon week that either sucks and you can't pay yourself, or stuff breaks and you just paid yourself, but now you got to turn around and take that money and put it into the business. This goes into market research. This goes into your budget. This goes into your business plan. You have to think about these things. The water heaters break. Electrical things happen. Plumbing things happen. And location is important. But the quality of what you're renting is also important. Having something in writing, super important. Here in North Carolina, I've been here 15 years. A number of people wanted to go into business with me and not have anything writing. It was a handshake and a wink. That is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And they would get mad. I had one lady get mad because I presented her with a contract. She wouldn't sign it. We did not do business together. I was so glad because I dodged a bullet. I know someone who ended up doing business with her and it turned into a lawsuit. It was terrible. Do your market research. Get some help. Sometimes at your local chamber, they have someone helping new businesses that they want to bring into the area. Talk to them. They will actually help you network and talk to other business owners in the area. You can't do this on your own. You just can't. It doesn't work that way. You need your little community. So contact your local chamber and get that population number and get the people that are willing to help work with new businesses and bring them into their community. You have to look at those communities and find out, do they have a stable economic base? Are the demographics compatible with the market you want? Do you want to work on young up-and-coming business professionals? If so, you're going to be working nights and weekends because those people have day jobs. Or do you want to work in an affluent area where the housewives want daytime appointments? Or do you want a mix of both? These are the things your local chamber can help you figure out with the demographics that you are looking for. Another great resource in market research, Nails Magazine used to publish what they called the Nails Big Book. It is a lot of numbers. And like I've said previously, we are visual learners. We are not necessarily numbers people. This becomes very overwhelming. But in your market research, it's very good to look at our industry standards, whether it's for hairdressers, it's behind the chair, and different product lines that you use have their own websites and market research. It's who you trust in the business that can help you with those statistics and research. But our community research, our local chamber is most important. So I hope you listen to this more than once. I know I rambled in some spots. I do tend to do that, but there are some important pieces of things that you have to think about before you dive headfirst into signing a lease. Before you dive headfirst into taking the leap, you have to know why you're doing what you're doing, how you're going to do it, and with what are you going to do it. When you are doing your market research, this is the next part of knowing why you are here, what you want to do and focus on, and how you're going to do it. You have to do market research. And I'm not talking about just looking up your competitors online and looking at their prices and going, oh, well, I should charge that too. No. This is not how we do things. I think you should look at your competition's website and look at their social media and look how people are presenting themselves, because it gives you a visual of what you would like to do and what you definitely don't want to do. Sometimes there's themes on their websites that follow through to the social media. You can look at their services and see who is specializing in what in your area. If there is a service that you don't really want to do, as a nail tech, some nail techs don't do pedicures. Some nail techs don't do acrylic. They specialize in other services because the market tends to be oversaturated, and that's when customers want the bottom dollar for the service. So I'm going to download some things to help you. some guides. Some are outdated, some are current. But I'm going to post the links in the bottom of this episode, and I hope you find them helpful. You can contact me through Instagram, direct message. I don't check them often, but about once a week I do go through them. But at Solo Salon Owner on Instagram, or you can contact me directly at the salon. You can text me, which is 919-526-0335. If you're listening to this while you're driving, you're going to want to re-listen to it and take some notes. So go back home, get a blank notebook, and let's start building your business foundation on this series. If you are a current suite renter, salon owner, you're struggling, the systems aren't coming into place for you, let's go backwards. Get yourself a blank notebook. Start taking notes. Did you make a business plan? Did you consult your local chamber? Do you know why you are in the business you're in? And if you're not happy, do you know why you want to leave and what you would do differently? This is your chance. This is your chance to reevaluate that business that you've started. Whether you started it on a whim or you had a big plan and the plans just aren't happening. It's time to evaluate and assess. Let's go backwards and start from the beginning and see what we need to change. There is enough business for everyone. It's not a competition. You just need to know how to set yourself apart, make those expenses small and the profits big, and the rest will all fall into place. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please ask me any questions that you have. And I will be back with a new episode in 2 weeks. And that we are going to talk about finding your ideal client. Have a great couple weeks, everybody. Thanks. Bye.